Yes, yeah, right. Hi, this is Deborah Cohen, a story and a song, and today we're talking about Forgotten Patriots, the Jewish contribution to America's founding. This is Judeo Christian America podcast, and I welcome you today. Again, I am Deborah Cohen, author of the upcoming book, Judeo Christian America, releasing July 4th, 2026, in celebration of America's 250th birthday. Today, I'd like to tell a story that many Americans have never heard. It's the story of Jewish patriots who fought, sacrificed, financed, and even died to help establish the United States of America. This is not merely a Jewish story, it's American history, an American story. And perhaps in a time when Americans seem increasingly divided from one another, it's a story that can remind us of something important. America has always been built by people from different backgrounds who believed in a common future. When we think about the American Revolution, we often picture George Washington crossing the Delaware. We think of Paul Revere, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams. But few Americans realize that Jewish patriots stood beside them. In 1776, there were only about 2,000 Jews living in all 13 colonies, yet they contributed to the revolutionary cause in numbers far beyond what their small population would suggest. Jews served as soldiers, merchants, financiers, civic leaders, and patriots. One of the first names we should remember is Francis Salvador. Salvador was a Jewish immigrant who settled in South Carolina. He became the first known Jew elected to public office in the American colonies. But he did not stop there. When conflict erupted on the frontier, Salvador joined the fight against forces allied with the British. In 1776, he was killed in battle. History records him as the first Jew known to die for American independence. Think about that for a moment. Before the Declaration of Independence was even signed by all its supporters, a Jewish patriot had already given his life for the cause of liberty. He died not as a visitor, not as an outsider, but as an American. Another remarkable figure was Mordecai Sheftall of Savannah, Georgia. Many historians consider him the highest-ranking Jewish officer in the Revolutionary Forces. He helped organize resistance to British rule, supported patriot efforts in Georgia, and later served as a colonel in the Continental Army. How about that? What's especially interesting about Sheftall is that he remained deeply committed to Jewish life while also serving the emerging nation. In fact, Jewish worship services were held in his own home before a synagogue could be built. His faith and his patriotism were not in conflict. They worked together. There is an important lesson in that for us today. Many Americans feel pressured to choose between religious identity and civic liberty. The founders envisioned something different, a nation where citizens of different faiths could contribute to the common good while remaining true to their beliefs. Perhaps no Jewish patriot is more famous than Chaim Solomon. Many historians refer to him as one of the key financiers of the revolution. Solomon immigrated from Poland and quickly became involved with the patriot cause. He was arrested by the British, accused of espionage, escaped, and eventually made his way to Philadelphia, where his financial expertise became invaluable to the struggling revolutionary government. The Continental Army often lacked money. Soldiers lacked supplies. The young nation teetered constantly on the edge of financial collapse. Solomon helped raise desperately needed funds, brokered foreign financial support, and extended loans to members of Congress. Historical accounts describe his role as critical to keeping the revolutionary effort functioning during some of its darkest moments. Now, historians continue to debate exactly how much credit should be assigned to any single individual. History is rarely that simple, but there is no serious dispute that Chaim Solomon made significant contributions to financing the revolutionary cause. And he did so not because he expected recognition. He did so because he believed in the promise of America. There were others as well. Merchants supplied uniforms, rifles, gunpowder, and equipment. Business leaders risked fortunes supporting the patriot cause. Some lost nearly everything in the process. Others served in military units throughout the colonies. Why does this matter? Because today many Americans know very little about one another. We often encounter each other through headlines, stereotypes, social media arguments, and political talking points. But history tells a different story. History reminds us that Jews were not strangers to America's founding. They were participants, builders, contributors, patriots. The same can be said of many groups who helped build this nation. America's strength has never come from uniformity. Its strength comes from people willing to work together despite differences. That truth lies at the heart of my upcoming book, Judeo-Christian America. The purpose of this book is not to erase differences between Jews and Christians. Not at all. The purpose is not to argue that everyone believes the same things because we know they don't. We clearly do not. Instead, my book asks a different question. Can people who share a belief in God, moral responsibility, human dignity, and love of country find common ground for the good of future generations? I believe the answer is yes. George Washington seemed to think so. In his famous letter to the Hebrew congregation of Newport, Rhode Island, Washington promised that the United States would give to bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance, end quote. What a remarkable statement! Not tolerance alone, not mere existence or coexistence, but a nation where people of different faiths could live freely and contribute fully to society. That vision remains unfinished. Every generation must decide whether it will strengthen that promise or weaken it. So think about that as we go to break, and I'll be right back. I never expected my life to become a memoir.
I gotta move a little longer, and I will be much stronger. And I'm running hard and free to be me, to be me. My body glides in stealth motion, like a locomotion. I see the track in front of me.
When the night finally came, I could barely breathe from the excitement. The stage lights hit my face, warm and golden. I strapped on my Les Paul, the same one I still own, and we launched into Take It Easy, Take It Easy. Follow if you believe pain can become purpose. And again, this is Deborah Cohen. Today, America faces challenges that our founders could scarcely imagine. Technology connects us instantly, while often isolating us emotionally. Political disagreements become personal hostility. Social media rewards outrage more than understanding. And many people feel increasingly disconnected from community, faith, and purpose. Yet I remain hopeful. Why? Because Americans have overcome division before. The revolution itself required cooperation among people who disagreed on many things: different colonies, different denominations, different ethnic backgrounds, different economic interests. Yet they found enough in common and common ground to create a nation. Surely we can find enough common ground today to speak respectfully to one another, can't we? Surely we can disagree without hatred, can't we? Surely we can remember that every person bears the image of God and deserves dignity. The Jewish patriots of the American Revolution remind us that America was never built by one group alone. It was built by people willing to sacrifice for something larger than themselves. As we approach America's 250th birthday, perhaps the greatest tribute we can offer those patriots is not merely remembering their names. Perhaps it is living out of the values for which they sacrificed: liberty, responsibility, faith, respect, justice, and hope. Thank you for joining me today. If this podcast has encouraged you, I invite you to follow along as we continue counting down to the release of my book, Judeo-Christian America, on July 4th, 2026. Together, let's remember the stories that unite us. Let's choose words that build bridges rather than walls. And let's continue the work of creating a nation worthy of those who sacrifice so much to establish it. Until next time, God bless you, and God bless America. This is Deborah Cohen. I thank you for listening and invite you to check out my music at the following website, deborahcohenmusic.com, or my books at deborahcohenbooks.org, and sign up for the cause of America to get back to moral foundations the way our founding fathers intended. Imagine that George Washington said something from the book of Micah. We'll have to look that up. George Washington's famous quote, one of them, is from the book of Micah. Does anybody know what that is? I'll give you a hint. It's about living, all faiths in America, living under their own vine, under their own fig tree, as a United States of America. That means, which was kind of a mind blower to me when I first realized, because I hadn't been taught this in public school as a child, but that means that when we say one nation under God, actually, we're talking about a universal creator. One nation under one God? Well, how does that fit into American citizens who don't believe at all or believe in more than one God? So, one nation under God with a small g, and perhaps each American citizen plugs in their God to the statement, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is that what our country, the United States of America, looks like today on the streets, where we see people that hate each other, that try to hurt each other on the streets, that attack each other on the streets, that fly terrorist flags declaring America is the white devil? And they're allowed to do so, especially lately in New York City. We have to find a better way. So my book, initially, Judeo-Christian America, is appealing to those religions who are taught to love one another. So at least Jews who believe in their God and Christians who believe in their God can agree to love one another. How could it be so popular, let's say maybe a couple decades ago, when Bob Marley was popular and his song One Love? Many people agreed that song became famous. Where are those people today? One love in the nation, America. Or how about Matisyahu, who is a famous Jewish artist, by the way? His song, is it One Love? Or getting back to my generation, One Love, One Heart, let's get together and it'll be all right. I think that was Bob Marley, right? The point I'm trying to make is, let's choose the high road this year to celebrate America's 250th birthday. Get on the bandwagon. Join this website, JudeoChristianAmerica.com. We don't have to think the same. We don't have to agree or believe in the same things, but we can certainly demonstrate love for the sake of unity instead of hatred, which always divides, always hurts. My psychologist once told me, hurting people hurt people. Healed people heal people. Are you healed or are you hurting? It's time for us to heal each other and heal this nation. Let's do it with a smile. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again next Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on the podcast called A Story and a Song, aka Judeo-Christian America. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all peace. Hello, this is Deborah Cohen. There is a fascinating historical movement many Americans have never heard about called political Hebraism. For centuries, Europeans and early American thinkers studied the Hebrew Bible for wisdom about government, liberty, law, and civic order. Some even viewed ancient Israel as a model for balancing freedom with moral responsibility under God. This did not mean America became ancient Israel, but it does mean biblical ideas helped influence Western political thought far more deeply than many people realize today. Understanding this history helps us better understand America itself. Our nation was shaped by many streams of influence, including Enlightenment philosophy and Hebrew moral tradition. Both mattered, and both remain important to understanding who we are today. This is one of the historical themes in my upcoming book, Judeo-Christian America. God bless you, and God bless America.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל. עושה
I was born into a strict Catholic family where I learned to flinch before a hand was even raised. I spent my childhood waiting for a punishment I didn't understand. So I ran. I traded the pews for music college and the hymnals for a rock band in Boston. My life became a spiritual journey, one that I share with you. Deborah Cohen, music, books, and merch. Thanks for listening.